The Sonic Adventure model is actually fewer triangles than the Sonic the Fighters model. Welcome to Content Free Time, the show where I apparently talk about 3D models from video games. Today we're going to be taking a look at every single 3D Super Sonic model, starting with his very first appearance in Sonic the Fighters. Unfortunately, this one wasn't available on themodelsresource.com, but I was able to find it on Sketchfab. The very first Supersonic model had 1,300 triangles. Look at how good this looks. It definitely benefited from being released in the arcade. I can guarantee you the next model we look at won't look this good. Comparing this to the 2D sprite that came immediately before it in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I feel like this really captures the spirit of the design. This shade of yellow is almost identical to the middle one here. He is a little lanky. It's funny how long his arms and legs are, but I'm pretty sure they had to do that due to the game engine they were working with. It is a fighting game after all, so the characters are going to have to extend their limbs pretty far in order to make contact with each other. 1 year later, in 1997, we got Sonic R. And yeah, this is noticeably a pretty big downgrade. You can see here, this Supersonic is only 268 triangles. It still doesn't look that bad though, especially from the back. I think this looks pretty cool. I'd say the most obvious change between these two models is the Sonic R Supersonic looks noticeably more angry. You can see his eyebrow line is a lot lower, which is sort of more in line with the Sonic 3 sprite. You can see he looked pretty angry here. I still definitely prefer the Sonic the Fighters model, but the Sonic R one, given the hardware, the Sega Saturn, I think it looks pretty good. Next up, we've got his 3D model from Sonic Adventure, and this was clearly a big upgrade from Sonic R, but I don't know if it was a big upgrade from Sonic the Fighters. Yeah, honestly, I think I prefer the Sonic the Fighters model over the Sonic Adventure model. I don't really like what they did with his spikes here. He looks too much like Shadow. The Sonic Adventure model is actually fewer triangles than the Sonic the Fighters model. The Sonic the Fighters model was 1,300. The Sonic Adventure one is just over 1,000 triangles. I'm impressed. Did you guys know that Supersonic had a 3D model in Shenmu? Here's the model from Shenmu, released 1 year after Sonic Adventure. It's kinda crazy how much of a difference there is between these two models. This one looks much more similar to the Sonic the Fighters model from earlier. The spines are pointed almost straight up. He's got a much lighter tone of yellow. He looks much more similar to the original sprite work, I would say. This one's pretty cool, but I think he looks almost a little too angry here. Look at how grumpy he looks. For some reason, the only 3D model they have on the models resource for Sonic Adventure 2 is Shadow, but that's okay, because I'm pretty sure the Sonic Adventure 2 battle models are pretty similar to the Sonic Adventure 2 ones. I take back everything I said. I do like some of the spines curving downwards. I do like him with a bit of an angrier expression on his face. Look at this Sonic Adventure 2 Supersonic model. It looks so good. It's like this is the virgin Sonic Adventure Supersonic, and this is the supreme Giga Chad Sonic Adventure 2 Supersonic. Again, Sonic Adventure 1 has just over 1,000 triangles. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle has over 3,000 triangles. Huge, noticeable difference. I love the way he's like floating here off the ground. That looks so cool. He's not even T-posing, he's just straight up posing. Those reflections in the spines. Just for a bit more fair comparison, we're gonna compare the Sonic Adventure 2 model to the Sonic Adventure DX model. Still, huge improvement in Sonic Adventure 2. Look at how outward his spikes are pointed in Sonic Adventure 1. They're pointing like straight out. The Sonic Adventure DX model has just under 2,000 triangles, but he's got like no reflection to him. Looks kind of like he was made out of Play-Doh or something. It's still not a bad model, but I like the Sonic Adventure 2 one just so much better. Next up, we've got his Sonic Heroes model, which I feel is a huge noticeable downgrade from Sonic Adventure 2. I do like the way his spines are pointed straight up again, like in Sonic the Fighters, but he's only 1,700 triangles compared to 3,000 in Sonic Adventure 2. And I know this is kind of an unfair comparison because he looks way different in-game. There's a lot more reflective lighting going on in Sonic Heroes compared to previous games. But just comparing the models themselves, I feel like the Sonic Adventure 2 model has a lot more personality. The Sonic Heroes model is pretty good. I think I prefer it over the one from Sonic Adventure 1, which is just looking worse and worse as we go along here. He's just starting to look like yellow Sonic. But I feel like these ones actually look like Super Sonic. I mentioned this in my other Sonic models video, but it makes sense that they had to lower the polygon count for Sonic Heroes, since they had 3 playable characters on screen at a time. I feel like they did a pretty good job with the limitations they had here. Next up, we've got his Sonic Riders model, which again just looks so goofy compared to the other ones. Super long, stretchy limbs, giant honkin' hands and feet, super long, exaggerated spines. I do like the sunglasses though. Next up, we've got Sonic Rush Supersonic, which looks surprisingly similar to the Supersonic from Sonic Adventure. You can see they went back to a more orangey tone, rather than the bright yellow from Sonic Heroes. The polygon count obviously went down again since it's a DS game, but for a Nintendo DS game, I think this looks really good. 762 triangles, compared to almost 2,000 from Sonic Adventure DX. But honestly, I think I like the Sonic Rush model better than the Sonic Adventure one. It's not quite as orange as the Sonic Adventure DX model, which I like. I don't like it a ton better, but I still think it looks pretty good. Now this is interesting. This is the Sonic Rush Adventure model on the right here, with the Sonic Rush one on the left. They did tweak it ever so slightly. It's barely visible when you're looking at them side by side like this. If anything, you can sort of just tell this one looks slightly lighter, and the fingers are more detailed on this one on the left here. But if you look at the triangle count, this one's just over 400 triangles, whereas the original Sonic Rush one was 762. They must have had to do that for gameplay reasons. Interesting. I think it still looks just as good. Now this change isn't quite as obvious as I thought it would be. This is the Supersonic from Sonic 06. It's funny how they kept alternating over the years. We've got alternating spines, upward facing spines, alternating spines, upward facing spines. I really am torn on which one I like better, so I can see why they kept flip-flopping. You can see in Sonic 06 they went back to this orange tone again, which I'm not a huge fan of. He's not floating, he's just kind of standing there, kind of boring. I think I like it maybe slightly better than the Sonic Adventure DX model, but I do think these three were all better than the Sonic 06 one. Next up, we've got his Sonic Unleashed model. Man, Sonic really did peak here, didn't he? Look at how good this model looks. The Sonic 06 model was about 7,700 triangles. The Sonic Unleashed model more than doubled that, over 20,200 triangles, and it shows. Oh man, that just looks so good compared to what came before it. Now I'm not sure I'm ready to admit it looks as good as the Sonic Adventure 2 model, but it does look pretty dang good. He's got lighter yellow fur, his spines are sticking straight up, which looks pretty cool, but not too straight up like the Sonic 06 model back here. It just looks so well polished. A lot of that's actually in the shoes and gloves. Look at how good these shoes and gloves look. I mean, everything about this model just looks so good. Now we have the Sonic Colors Supersonic model, which, unsurprisingly, looks pretty similar to the Sonic Unleashed one. Sonic Unleashed is where they more or less perfected his design. So yes, they had to cut down on the polygon count significantly. This one's just under 5,000 triangles compared to the over 20,000 in Sonic Unleashed. But considering the reduced polygon count, this still looks really good. They did an excellent job of making use of the Nintendo Wii hardware, and really did everything they could to make this model look as good as they could make it. Next up we have Modern Supersonic from Sonic Generations, which again looks pretty similar to the Sonic Unleashed model. Definitely a brighter yellow. You can see this Unleashed tone is a bit more subdued. The shoes are a lot brighter, a lot shinier. The gloves look pretty much identical. I think I prefer the Sonic Generations model over the Sonic Unleashed one. Even though the Sonic Generations model is like 5,000 triangles less, the coloring really does it justice. It's a lot brighter, it pops a lot more than that Sonic Unleashed model. Now here's the Supersonic from Sonic Lost World. Look at how shiny he is. He's much shinier than every Supersonic before him, except for maybe the Sonic Adventure 2 model? He looks a lot more golden, which is pretty cool. I actually really like that golden spray paint look he has. I think it looks really cool. Next up is Supersonic from Sonic Forces Speed Battle, the mobile game. He's clocking in at about 5,300 triangles. Not too shabby looking for 5,300 triangles. I guess they did finally settle on the totally upward facing spines, which is fine. I think it looks pretty good. At least they got away from that orange color. This one looks surprisingly similar to the Sonic Unleashed one. Aside from the polygon count, they look almost identical. Last up, we've got Sonic Frontiers, which is an astounding 36,000 triangles. It looks really good. I don't know if it looks 36,000 triangles good, but I can't complain. It's very solid. Here's a look at all of them here. I feel like the model really did find its footing in Sonic Unleashed. Ever since then, with the exception of this really golden one from Sonic Lost World, they've looked pretty much the same. It's funny how different the ones before that time period looked though. I kind of miss when they would make these wildly different designs every year or two. If I had to pick a favorite, I think I'd still go with the Sonic Adventure 2 one, just because I'm so biased. I love that game so much. He looks so stylish and cool in that one. But I feel like objectively, maybe the Sonic Frontiers one? That one looks pretty dang good. Maybe even Lost World. I really do like that golden glow. I feel like I'd have to see these in-game to have a more objective comparison, but just going by these screenshots here, I think my two favorites are Adventure 2 and Sonic Frontiers. But what's your favorite? Let me know in the comments. These are all good picks. The only ones I'm not super wild about are the Sonic Adventure DX one and the Sonic 06 one. They're not bad, just not my favorites. Also, what character do you want to see me do one of these on next? I have fun doing them, and if you guys like them, I'll keep making them. Doesn't have to be Sonic, I'd be happy to go outside of the Sonic series, but whatever you guys want to see, let me know. Thanks for watching.